before we really get down to business today, I wanted to do something that I was, didn't I already pick these up? Yeah. That I wanted to do, and I mentioned earlier, which is make a quick Mountain Thane PvE guide. Now, there are some buffs coming to unbuffed Bloodthirst and unbuffed Raging Blow that will make anger management a little bit more on par with Reckless Abandon, but as it stands right now, Reckless Abandon is still very powerful. As a result, a lot of the PvE builds and PvP builds, really, that you will see are going to be Reckless Abandon focused. But after this next balance patch, like I said, there may be some anger management options that you have as well. But right now, Mountain Thane is banging in Mythic Plus. It's been very, very fun. We spent yesterday knocking out all 8 Mythic Pluses for my vault, so now we can do a bunch of PvP. But before we get down to PvP today, like I said, I wanted to make a build guide for you. So, a couple interesting things. I tried out Stormbolt. I don't love it. If you don't happen to care about any kind of CC, you can just drop it in this Seismic Reverberation, or you can do Shockwave. And if you wanted big Shockwave, you're going to take a point, probably add it like this to do it, which should be fine. But right now, I'm just doing just straight damage, and that's fine. This basic setup is what I've been using to blast M pluses. I can drop the little import link in there for you, but basically what you're doing is you're doing no kind of CC at all. But if you wanted to, like I said, I think this is probably a good idea, right? Doing something like this is probably actually a good idea for Mythic Plus. I'll drop this one in the thing for you. But you are benefiting from extra Thunderclap damage because you are using Thunder Blast, which does a really big hit. You're going down for most of the basic stuff, but you know, you're using a couple of points into Thunderclap, and then I'm even using Crackling Thunder for more AoE, and it slows mobs constantly, which is kind of nice too if you don't have other slow rolling. But this looks pretty standard, I'd say. Then over here, this is also looking pretty standard for your cleave. A couple things to note is I'm not using Hack and Slash. You don't really need to use Hack and Slash as this build. Raging Blow is nice, but it's actually, in my gameplay, not as big of a deal, because Bloodthirst hits pretty freaking hard, and it buffs, well, it doesn't buff, but it grants you stacks of Thunder Blast, right? Bloodthirst has a 35% chance to grant you Thunder Blast, take up to 2 charges, right? And Thunder Blast is that big AoE hit, which is really, really fun. And then you also end up spamming Bloodthirst quite a bit because Lightning Strikes a 15% chance to make your next 2 Bloodthirsts have no cooldown, deal extra damage, and give you 2 extra rage. So you press Bloodthirst, it gives you Thunder Blast. Thunder Blast always has a Lightning Strike. Sometimes those Lightning Strikes proc more Bloodthirsts. You get the idea, right? That's pretty cool. So instead of that, I do have Hack and Slash moved over into Vicious Contempt for even more Bloodthirst damage. And some people like to move Titanic Rage into Vicious Contempt for another buff to Bloodthirst, which is a pretty big deal. I just love the way Titanic Rage plays. I think it's really fun to get enraged off of that. I think it makes your cooldowns and your big pop feel a lot better. So this is the build. In terms of stats, Haste Mastery are great. Versatility is great. But I think Haste and Mastery are like your biggest things. In terms of macros, the macro does change just a little bit. Just a little bit. I actually don't like dropping Ravager at my feet for this particular build. So what I'll do instead is cancel the Ravager part of it. We'll do Avatar, Thunderous Roar, and then use my trinkets with Recklessness. So what it looks like is you have a separate macro right here. A little gnome friend's getting some cardio in. I respect it, brother. You drop Ravager at your feet with a /cast at player Ravager macro. And then you pop all your big cooldowns and proceed to Rampage, Thunder Blast, Bloodthirst, and then after that, I'll Odin's Fury, Rampage, Thunder Blast, Bloodthirst. Because one of the neat things about this build is you're playing, instead of Bladestorm like you would with Slayer, you're playing Ravager. And Ravager, it deals its damage over 9 seconds, which means you're gonna get, with Unhinged, like 4 Bloodthirsts, and those Bloodthirsts are all giving you a chance to proc Thunder Blast, so you're gonna have like infinite Thunder Blasts during this period of time, especially in an AoE scenario. So I'm still kind of like figuring out like where I want to weave in Raging Blow, but during like the big burst, again, charge in, drop the Ravager, pop all your CDs. Now I Rampage first, then Thunder Blast, then Rampage, get the big one, Rampage again, big Thunder Blast, Rampage again, get the empowered Bloodthirst, then I'll Odin's Fury. Once all that's out, you might want to Odin's Fury during the Dragon Roar window too, and frequently I will, but I do want to try to use these procs as they happen. So I am prioritizing hitting Bloodthirst first. You are going to get a little bit of a Bloodthirst buff off of your Raging Blow hits, but that'll happen anyways. Hitting Bloodthirst on CD is kind of what I've been doing. Get your Crush and Blow going. Now sometimes you're gonna have to spread your AoE with an unempowered Thunderclap, like right here. It's still like, you know, basically pressing Whirlwind to more fun, but Thunder Blast I do think is a priority. And then I'm gonna get my empowered Bloodthirst, which I can send. Then if I Rampage, then it'll buff it, so it'll do even more damage. But I am prioritizing Bloodthirst first in this situation over Crushing Blow. I still like to press Rampage when I have it, but I want to make sure that in this situation we have Cleave, so I'm pressing Thunderclap first, Thunder Blast, Rampage again to empower my Bloodthirst. We have 3 of them, so I pressed it again. I do want to get the Crushing Blow going, so I press that. Just hammering the Bloodthirst. So if you like pressing Bloodthirst, Mountain Thane allows you to do that a little bit more than Slayer, because I think Slayer really likes Raging Blow hits, whereas I think that Mountain Thane really likes pressing Bloodthirst, because although the Whirlwinds are nice for Slayer, the Thunder Blast procs are also crazy for Mountain Thane. So again, to rip the burst, this time we'll do the Odin's, kind of how I think you usually want to do it. Ravager, pop everything, Rampage, Thunder Blast, Rampage, Odin's falls off, another Odin's, Rampage, Thunder Blast, Rampage, again, and then you Rampage into the Bloodthirst. Then once it starts to cool off a little bit, then you can kind of go back into the hitting Crushing Blow as well. Keep the Rampage with the Enrage. Keep the Bloodthirst. It's called Bloodbath when it's empowered, but just empowered Bloodthirst to make it simple. And just keep blasting. That's kind of what ends up happening when I pop cooldowns, how it kind of feels to me. Now, I think that there's like one of the things with Fury where you kind of want to use both of your empowered Crushing Blow and Bloodbath procs before you Rampage again. But I don't know about all that, bro. I just like sending it, because I don't want to just be sitting on Rampage. But this is one of those builds where you actually can probably get away with doing that, because you're not playing hack and slash. But I do like to use the Bloodthirst when I can to try to get more of those Thunder Blasts, because that just makes the whole build flow really, really nicely. So in terms of priorities for me, I think Thunder Blast might be the most important button to press, but Rampage helps you stay enraged, and it also buffs your next attacks. But yeah, it's a fun one, because that Thunder Blast does a pretty big juicy hit, so it ends up being a lot of fun to play. And I just, as I've been playing a little bit, again, I think that the build really flows nicely if you try to press Bloodthirst on cooldown, and then outside of that you're prioritizing, like, you know, Rampage to stay enraged, right? But then Thunder Blast when you can. Like, I'm gonna Rampage first here, and then we'll let it rip. You'll get a feel for it, and it takes, you know, probably a little bit of practice, but if I can keep my Bloodthirst empowered, I will. And then I'll start using the Crushing Blows once that, like, Giga Burst starts to slow down a little bit. But it ends up being a really fun build. It's really good for super consistent AoE. And it's something I wanted to talk to you guys about, because even though I don't feel like I'm an expert in PvE, we've still been banging, we've still been having fun. Clearing some M+ers, and Mountain Thane is one of those, like, hero specs that looked awesome, and it was like, man, this is gonna be perfect for Mythic Plus. And then it got a little bit of buffs, there's some Slayer nerfs, and now it's pumping pretty good. So we've been doing a little bit of Mythic Plus, not like rank 1 level or anything like that, but we're doing it, having fun while we're at it. But I definitely wanted to make a quick little video showing off the Thane PvE M+ AoE build, using, at this point, Reckless Abandon, using Powerful Enrage, and even maybe weaving in a little bit of CC, a little bit, for just a little bit of maximum rage loss and a little bit of damage off the top on Thunderclap for AoE situations. But anyway, I will make sure and drop this code both into the chat both chats and on the video description as well. But this will get you guys started. And then the macros, like I said, I'll try to make sure I drop those in the thing. But if I don't, really the only thing that I'm like using right now is this one. You don't need the Ravager. You don't really need the spear in there. It's just a Berserker Stance, cast Wreck, cast Avatar, cast Thunderous Roar, use your trinket if you have one. And then the other one that you need is to have just a slash cast at player Ravager, so you can charge in, plop the Ravager at your feet, and then proceed to just go nuts with big juicy AoE blasting, right? Which makes for a really fun playstyle. Just make sure you're using those Thunder Blasts before you press Bloodthirst, if you can, because Bloodthirst is one of those things that's going to help you proc your Thunder Blast. Then Thunder Blast is one of those things that's going to help you proc the 0 cooldown empowered damage Bloodthirst. So makes for a really, really fun build, and you can do some ridiculous AoE damage. So anyway, I wanted to get that started. We're going to dive into some PvP today, and so that means we have some more PvP builds to talk about too, but I wanted to make sure we got the Slayer PvP, or the Slayer PvE Mythic Plus build up for you guys, because it's a fun one, and it's pretty dang good. Enjoy! Thanks for watching.